Former Newtown Police Captain Christopher Vanghele was part of the team that entered Sandy Hook Elementary School a decade ago, and he is joining us live tonight. Chief, I know you're in Plainville now. Hearing this testimony from Texas DPS Steve McCraw today, it makes the hair on my arm stand up to hear his account of what happened and the missed steps and failures, which there were many that day.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me, quite frankly, extremely angry. When I think of the parents that now have this knowledge that officers didn't do what their most basic oath was. They took an oath that their life would be sacrificed for others if it came down to that. That's what we knew at Sandy Hook. And I'll tell you, the teachers in Uvalde that died, I guarantee they died while trying to protect those children. They didn't have bulletproof vests. They didn't have guns. They didn't have ballistic shields. All they had was their bodies. And for those officers to stand out in the hallway when they had enough equipment to go in, it just for some reason it boggles the mind. I don't understand it. They basically gave up on their entire oath. And as far as I'm concerned, every single one of them should be fired. They can no longer be officers because at the most basic level, they're not willing to put themselves at risk for other people. What other type of a test do you need to prove it? Then you're sitting there listening to children get killed and you don't even try to stop it. I don't understand it.
The parents are calling for Chief Dondo to be fired, but what I'm hearing you say is he does not carry the sole responsibility here for accountability.
Correct. If he's in the hallway and he's the most senior ranking person, perhaps he could call himself the officer in charge. But when you're part of that initial team to try to go in and take out an active shooter, there really is no rank. There's one mission, one goal, and everybody should have that same goal in mind. The fact that none of those other officers decided to push him out of the way and do what they knew was right, I guarantee they're going to take that to the grave with them. They're going to have to live with that decision forever. It's not a fight or flight situation. Like, I can understand that if in a heartbeat you get scared and you run away, but these officers had minutes, hours to decide whether or not they were going to try to put themselves in danger and perhaps get killed while trying to save a person's life, or to sit back, be safe, and let somebody else do it. And so at the most basic core, they were cowards, and all of them should be fired.
This is life and death, but it's not just the officers. I mean, talk about the leadership. You've got State Patrol, you've got Texas DPS. I mean, there were other authorities in law enforcement in that span of an hour plus that could have intervened and done something.
Like I said, in that situation, even a patrolman who's on for 1 year can say, I'm going in, and he can lead other officers into that classroom. If the highest ranking officer isn't willing to make the right decision, then other people have to push him out of the way and take charge. It's as simple as that.
Calling them cowards and they will take this to the grave is harsh, but I don't know that it's unnecessary in this circumstance. But you've got a lot of police officers out there tonight who are putting themselves in danger to keep the public safe. What now? What do we do to make sure that they're properly trained, they're prepared to act on that oath and save lives?
Well, we look at situations like this. We always learn from other shootings in other cities. And the one thing you learn, first of all, is it can happen anywhere. If it could happen in Colorado, it can happen in Newtown, it could happen in Uvalde, and any town in between. And the officers have to be prepared for it. That's what, makes you act when you're scared out of your mind. In Sandy Hook, we were all very scared, but we still had a job to do, and we put one foot in front of the other, and we did it. In our situation, the shooter shot himself and committed suicide, and so we didn't have to face anybody shooting at us. But I'll tell you, there's not one officer that entered the Sandy Hook school that wouldn't give their life to this day to save at least one of those children. And that's what I think about when I see those officers standing in that hallway, that they possibly could have saved a situation, a person, a life, and we didn't have that chance in Sandy Hook, as much as we tried.
What else stands out to you, Chief, about what we've learned, not only about the timeline, but the unlocked door and the failure to act when it needed to happen? With today's testimony, which was heartbreaking to hear, where are the other lessons learned?
The lessons learned are for officers around the country. And, being harsh, I get it, but it just boils the blood. And they sacrificed their oath. They were supposed to go in there, and for some reason, they just didn't want to face the gunfire. And they had enough equipment with them. I think they had some training in active shooter. They had long guns with them. They had bullet-resistant vests. They had the bullet shield. They certainly could have made an attempt to gain entry, but they did not. And that's the main lesson here for other law enforcement officers to see. Because I don't think there's one officer that is watching this on TV as it unfolds, thinking to himself, I would have done the exact same thing. You're not going to find that. You're going to find the exact opposite. We're supposed to run to where the danger is, not sit there and wait.
The other layer to this is school security, and we've had a number of Uvalde parents speak up that they have been concerned about school security leading up to this. They're concerned about it now, sending their kids back in the fall. When you talk about the protection in place at schools, you've been there, you've seen it firsthand. Where are we missing opportunities to keep our kids safe?
Well, I think, in every school district, money is a large issue, funding, because it takes a lot of money to properly secure a school, both the physical part of the building, meaning doors that lock a certain way, camera systems, access control, different physical barriers. And then you have, the most expensive piece, which is actually hiring an armed school security officer to be at every single one of your schools. Connecticut did that right after Sandy Hook. There was some legislature that came out, some rules regarding hiring officers that retired in good standing. They can go through a course, they can get trained, and they can go into those schools, and every single school should have an armed school security officer that is a cop in good standing, retired, and they can do the security at the school. But like I said, that's a very expensive proposition because you're hiring people.
Yeah, but nothing's more important than the people they're protecting. Chief, you've lived this.
Exactly.
You've lived this fear. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you so much, Maury.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.